In Hollywood's version of the Old West, every cowboy walks tall at high noon, hat tilted, boots dusty, revolver hanging low, waiting for that single heartbeat to draw. But the truth of how real cowboys carried their guns was far less glamorous and far more practical. In the unforgiving world of dust, distance, and danger, guns weren't props. They were tools, carried for protection, work, and survival. Every holster, belt, and strap told a story about the kind of life a man lived, the miles he rode, and the laws that shaped the frontier. Today on Lighter Lead and Legacy, we're uncovering 10 real ways cowboys carried their guns. From the rigs that history forgot to the methods so ordinary Hollywood never bothered to show them. Stay till the end, because the final truth about cowboy gun culture will change how you picture the Wild West forever. Number 10, the cross draw, built for riders, not gunfighters. Forget the quick draw showdown. The cross draw wasn't made for speed. It was made for survival in the saddle. Cowboys and scouts spent up to 12 hours a day riding. A gun worn on the strong side pressed against the leg, rubbed raw and caught on the saddle horn. So they flipped it, carrying the holster on the opposite hip with the grip facing forward. It looked strange, but it worked perfectly. You could reach across your body, draw smoothly with your dominant hand, and fire without twisting or lifting your leg. The revolver stayed out of the way of reins, ropes, and windblown dust. Lawmen, teamsters, and even postal riders used the cross draw because it combined accessibility and comfort. It was steady, safe, and efficient. The movies ignored it because it looked clumsy on camera, but on the frontier, it was the mark of experience. The carry of someone who understood the saddle better than the stage. Number 9, the pommel holster, when the horse carried the gun. Long before lightweight peacemakers became common, revolvers were heavy, oversized chunks of steel. A Colt Dragoon or 1860 Army weighed more than 4 pounds loaded, far too heavy to wear all day. Cowboys solved that problem with the pommel holster. Attached to the saddle horn, these thick leather pouches held large pistols securely at arm's reach. Cavalry troops had used them for decades, and working riders quickly copied the idea. Some cowboys carried twin pommel holsters, one on each side, balancing the weight perfectly. When trouble hit, stampede, ambush, or wolf attack, a rider could lean forward, draw, and fire without dismounting. The design protected the gun from rain, dust, and sweat, keeping it reliable for years. Hollywood rarely shows the pommel holster because it's not cinematic. There's no dramatic twirl or draw. But in the true West, this was the most common carry of all. A cowboy's best friend didn't hang from his hip, it hung from his saddle. Number 8, concealed carry in town, the frontier's quiet rule. The Wild West wasn't as lawless as the movies pretend. Many frontier towns, Dodge City, Tombstone, Deadwood, Abilene, all had one thing in common: no open carry allowed. Signs at the city limits warned travelers to surrender their guns at the sheriff's office or hotel. Cowboys obeyed, at least officially, but people still wanted protection. They adapted. Small revolvers like the Colt 1849 pocket model and the Remington Derringer became the hidden guardians of the frontier. Tucked in vests, boots, or belts, these pocket pistols gave peace of mind without breaking the law. For gamblers, barkeeps, and travelers, concealed carry was the unspoken compromise between safety and legality. You could be fined for showing your gun, but if you needed it, you'd be glad you kept it hidden. It wasn't outlaw chaos, it was quiet caution. The side of the West most people never see. Number 7, the high-right holster, the working cowboy's choice. The high-right holster was the real working man's rig. Tight, efficient, and practical. Worn high on the belt, it kept the revolver snug against the ribs and out of the way during long days on horseback. A Colt single-action Army weighed nearly 3 pounds. Without the high ride, it'd slam into your thigh or catch every time you mounted a horse. The holster covered the trigger guard completely, secured by a leather thong around the hammer. Safe, simple, and proven. Trail bosses, ranchers, and scouts all favored this position. You didn't win duels with it, you endured the trail. When the movies later lowered the belt for flair, they traded realism for drama. The true West carried its guns higher, quieter, and closer to the heart. Number 6, women and hidden guns, the silent survivors. The Old West was hard on everyone, and women were no exception. They lived with danger daily, on stagecoaches, in saloons, or alone on distant homesteads. Many quietly armed themselves. Small derringers and compact Smith & Wessons became the ladies' pistols, concealed in corsets, handbags, or underskirts. They offered one-handed defense when help was far away. Saloon owners like Poker, Alice, or performers like Lily Dino kept pistols behind the bar or in hidden pockets. These women weren't trying to impress anyone. They were trying to survive. In a world that often denied them protection, they made their own rules. Hollywood wrote them out of the picture, but the real frontier was full of women who refused to be victims, armed, alert, and fearless. Number 5, the Hollywood rig, the costume that rewrote history. That iconic low-slung belt tied around the thigh, the symbol of every Western showdown, never existed in the 1800s. Known as the Buscadero rig, it was invented in the 1920s by movie studios and trick shooters. It looked spectacular on screen. The gun hung low, gleaming in the sun, easy to spot in a camera frame. But it was useless for real work. The low drop caused the gun to swing, snag, and bruise the leg while riding. No rancher or lawman would put up with it for 10 minutes. The true holsters of the frontier rode high and tight, built for control and safety. Yet Hollywood's fantasy became history's image. The Buscadero turned practicality into performance, and forever changed how the world imagines the West. Number 4, rifles and saddle scabbards, the real lifeline of the plains. While revolvers became legends, rifles were the real tools of the frontier. A cowboy could survive without a sidearm, but never without a rifle. Every horse carried one in a saddle scabbard, a sturdy leather sheath angled across the saddle's right side. The butt faced backward for a quick draw with the right hand. From Winchester 1873 repeaters to Sharp's buffalo rifles, these weapons kept ranches safe and bellies full. The scabbard protected from rain and grit, balancing perfectly against the horse's motion. Carrying a rifle on the back, as movies often show, was clumsy and dangerous. In reality, the cowboy's rifle was always close, ready to defend or provide. On the frontier, it wasn't just a weapon, it was survival itself. Number 3, lawmen and outlaws. Same tools, different intentions. Lawmen and outlaws carried guns that looked nearly identical. The real difference wasn't in the weapon, it was in the purpose. Sheriffs like Bat Masterson wore revolvers openly to project control. Outlaws like John Wesley Hardin or Billy the Kid hid theirs beneath coats to avoid suspicion. Both sides used the same high ride and cross-draw holsters, the same Colts and Remingtons. For lawmen, visibility was deterrence. For outlaws, invisibility was power. Yet both lived by the same truth. Once you drew, life changed forever. Bullets were expensive, justice slow, and revenge certain. Hollywood paints them as opposites, but the real West knew law and lawlessness often shared the same leather belt. Number 2, the trail carry, the improvised cowboy's method. Not every cowboy could afford a fancy holster. Some didn't even own one. So they improvised what became known as the trail carry, slipping the revolver directly into the waistband or cartridge belt, sometimes wrapped in cloth or rawhide. It wasn't stylish, but it worked. The gun stayed close, concealed under a coat, and easy to grab when needed. Old tintype photos show countless riders with no visible holster, just a revolver tucked snugly in the belt. It was the poor man's rig, affordable, efficient, impractical for long rides. If a cowboy wasn't expecting trouble, he carried light. If he was, one quick reach to the belt was enough. The trail carry proved one thing: necessity, not fashion, shaped the West. Number 1, the bedside draw, the last defense. The frontier didn't sleep easily. Bandits, drunkards, and strangers passed through every night. That's why many cowboys practiced what they called the bedside draw, keeping a loaded revolver within arm's reach while they slept. Some tucked it under the pillow, others inside a boot or wrapped in a blanket. In hotels or bunkhouses, it stayed hidden but close, always half-cocked with one empty chamber for safety. The nights were unpredictable. A fight in the hall, a thief slipping through the door, or a stranger with bad intentions. When seconds mattered, you didn't run for the saddle. You reached beside you. It wasn't paranoia, it was preparation. In the real Old West, danger didn't wait for sunrise, and a cowboy never truly slept unarmed. Closing reflection. Every holster, belt, and scabbard from the Old West tells a story of adaptation, survival, and quiet discipline. The men and women who built the frontier weren't chasing glory. They were building lives in a world where the nearest help could be a day's ride away. Hollywood gave us duels, speed draws, and silver belts. Reality gave us grit, restraint, and invention. From cross draws to trail carries, the true West was about using what worked. Nothing more, nothing less. Lead and legacy exist to preserve that truth, that history's heroes weren't the fastest to draw, but the ones who lived long enough to put their guns away again. If you value the truth behind the myth, stay with Lead and Legacy, where every weapon, every law, and every legend is pulled straight from the dust of real history. Subscribe, share, and keep the story alive, because legends fade, but legacy endures.